The Six Sigma methodology calls for bringing operations to a Six Sigma level, which essentially means 3.4 defects for every 1 million opportunities. The goal is to use continuous process improvement to refine processes until they produce stable and predictable results. It is a data-driven methodology composed of 5 phases that provide tools and techniques to define and evaluate each step of a process. And it provides the necessary methods to increase efficiencies in a business structure, improve the quality of the processes, and increase an organization's bottom line profits. Central to the Six Sigma methodology are the 5 improvement steps that form the DMAC framework. All Six Sigma projects start with the define phase, where we clearly identify the business problem, goals, resources, scope, and timeline of the project. Next, we begin collecting performance baseline data in the measure phase. In the analyze phase, we identify, validate, and select the root causes. Next, we test and implement viable solutions in the improve phase, before finally developing methods to control and sustain the changes implemented in the project. But DMAC is not the only framework used in Six Sigma. From time to time, we may have to use variations like DAMDV, IDOV, or DAMDOV. Alternatively, we may use the Design for Six Sigma or DFSS framework. The Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle was first envisioned by Dr. Schuart in the 1920s and popularized by Dr. Deming in the late 1950s. This 4-step management method is commonly used for the control and continuous improvement of both products and services. We start the process by first recognizing an opportunity within a process and planning a change to that process. Next, we carry out a small-scale study where we test that change to determine if it is viable. As always, we need to review or check the results of that change. We need to analyze and determine the viability of that change. Finally, we take action. If the change was not viable, then we start the cycle over with a new plan with a new change. But if the change is viable, then we implement the changes and look for new opportunities for improvement. In the strictest view, y equals fx is a representation of a mathematical formula, but it is one to use when examining different possible outcomes based on the inputs and factors used. The y stands for the outcome, the f embodies the function used in the calculation, and the x represents the input or inputs used for the formula. This formula, when associated with Six Sigma, is called the breakthrough equation. So we use a formula to find out which inputs will send us to the optimal or best output. This formula is used throughout a problem-solving process. Y is the output of a process or the outcome that you are seeking in a Six Sigma project. It is a representation of the value-added products or services that are produced or developed within the process. Remember, the process should take an input, add something of value to that input in order to create the output. If nothing of value is actually added, then the output would be the same or worse than the input, making the process flawed or unnecessary. F is a representation of the actual function of the process. It is what the process exists for, and it is the physical action that adds some form of value to the input that results in the outputs. It can improve a single input or even combine multiple inputs together. When we find defects in the product or service, it is in this function that we find the root cause for that defect. And it is the function that must be fixed when a process becomes unstable or gets out of control. X represents the input of the process. The X can be anything that, when value is added to it by the function, results in the outputs. X can also be multiple things that are combined by the function to create a different and unique value-added output. In most instances, the X will most likely come from another process, meaning that it was a Y or the output of that previous process. Quality control is crucial to the success of any business. It can either make or break an organization. Good quality products and services build trust and lead to repeat business. But bad quality costs an organization money and drives that business away. Every week, we upload new videos between 5 and 10 minutes in length, where we will focus on the concepts and strategic implementation of Lean and Six Sigma. As a Master Black Belt, I am passionate about quality. And if you are too, then click subscribe to be notified whenever we upload our next Lean Six Sigma video.